I was deeply involved in an important project at work. This required that I often stayed late in the evenings. My wife did not like this and was not at all shy about showing her feelings. Her temperament matched her red hair and our Irish roots. She didn't like cooking a delicious meal only to eat it alone. And, truth be told, I was a little mad about it too. Most days of the week, when I finally dragged my exhausted ass home, I was faced with the unappealing prospect of oven-dried leftovers. She was also afraid to stay home alone after dark because of a couple of burglaries in the neighborhood, so I bought her a Glock to keep in her bedside table. She didn't think she had to be alone all the time. She accused me of having some secret mistress and threatened to do the same. I snapped, and the argument got out of hand. I ended up falling asleep on the couch. Because of a project, I needed to get back to the office early the next morning. So, I left before she got up. Now that I had cooled down somewhat, I thought I would apologize and explain that the project would be completed sometime next week, and all team members, including me, were promised a nice bonus and extra vacation to compensate us for our efforts. Perhaps we could use this to get away to some hotspot for a while. I tried calling several times throughout the day, but each time the call went straight to voicemail, and she wouldn't return my messages. Each time I didn't get through, I felt my anger grow even more. Wearing the same clothes for the second day in a row didn't improve my mood. My head began to fill with unpleasant thoughts. I was thinking about leaving this bitch and our 7-year marriage. She would never agree to a divorce, and I wasn't too sure about that either. We were both staunch Catholics, and that was a big no-no. Finally, I couldn't take the stress of worrying about the situation at home anymore and went to the boss. Explained that I had a serious personal problem at home that I needed to deal with, and he let me go around 8 o'clock. It was about a half-hour drive home, and when I got there, some unfamiliar car was parked in my spot. I parked on the street and went to the side door to enter the usual way, when I happened to peek through a gap between the curtains in the living room. What I saw made my blood pressure instantly skyrocket. Trying to look in through the gap in the drawn curtains made everything a little hazy and fuzzy, but I could definitely make out my wife kneeling and some guy kneeling there clutching her hands. His back was to me, so I couldn't get a good look at his face, but I could see that my wife had a joyful expression on her face as they held their hands tightly together. At least they were fully dressed. He in a black suit that seemed somehow vaguely familiar, and she in her modest Sunday dress. I was furious. My adrenaline was raging, and it felt like my veins might burst at any moment. I decided to scare the hell out of these two before they did anything, so I crept through the side door as quietly as I could. I took off my shoes to reduce the likelihood of the villains hearing my footsteps. Fortunately, my path through the kitchen and up the stairs to the bedroom was out of their sight. I drew my gun, then I went downstairs to startle the couple. What's that old poem about, the most elaborate plans? Honestly, Your Honor, I really just intended to wave the gun around. I never meant to hurt anyone. It just happened to go off on its own. Twice. Oops, my bad. I'll have the next 25 years of my life to ponder that little mistake. I think the death of my wife and the priest who listened to her confession pretty much guarantees me a trip to the hotspot, even without the extra time.